Hey guys, Nando here. I wanted to take a moment before the start of the show and have you like and subscribe to our channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, click the subscribe button and ring the bell to keep up with the latest videos and catch show releases early. Leave us a comment and let us know what you think of the show. If you're watching us on Facebook, please like and share the page, and don't forget to leave a comment there as well.
What are you doing?
I'm giving them a moment to subscribe to all of our pages.
Oh. How long is a moment?
You know, like a moment.
Okay, moment's up.
No, wait, it's not.
Jerry, roll the episode.
Don't forget to subscribe!
Welcome filmmakers, fans, and friends to Indie Cinema Showcase, your #1 source for filmmaking conventions and everything in between. I'm Christina Carmona.
And I'm Nando Luis Roman. Together we'll be bringing you the best and brightest that Florida has to offer.
In today's episode, we'll be speaking with award-winning filmmaker and television producer Bill Suchy and checking out his trailer for the Emmy-nominated documentary, Silver Wings Flying Dreams.
We'll also take you to some of our past events, and later on, Tim Anderson will be letting us know what films to see before you die.
All right, let's get things started with our feature, the documentary trailer for Silver Wings Flying Dreams, directed by Bill Suchy.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii by air, President Roosevelt has just announced.
I woke up that morning and heard what sounded like bombs dropping, and they were shouting on the radio that we were being attacked by Japan.
The world was at war. In Europe and the Pacific, enemy aircraft dominated the skies. America's male pilots were being deployed overseas for combat duty, creating a critical shortage of pilots in the States. The demand forced the military to consider training women to pilot military aircraft. But in the 1940s, women piloting United States military aircraft was unheard of.
We were all very close. I think you get very close because you don't know if you're going to be alive the next day.
This is an amazing true story of pioneering women who, for a brief moment in the darkest days of World War II, shattered the glass ceiling to become the first women to pilot American military aircraft.
The primary thing was that we were all there for one purpose, and that was the love of flying.
With the war raging on, more WASP were assigned to ferry aircraft to both coasts for shipping to all fronts of the war.
And I reported for duty the next morning and said to the captain, "Sir, I'm reporting for duty as your new test pilot." And he said, "Jesus Christ." And I said, "No, Barry Vincent." And so right away, he was in shock because no woman had ever been in that hangar before.
After proving they could handle the latest fighters and the heaviest bombers, it all came to an abrupt end. On December 20th, 1944, they were quietly and unceremoniously disbanded.
We were promised that if the program became successful, we would be taken into the Army Air Corps.
It was sort of finding out that a dream could be achieved, but it could be taken away just as easily.
Two of the squadrons, including mine, sent a wire to the president and offered our services for $1 a year for as long as the need existed, but it was turned down.
Losing their military flying status forced them back into civilian life. While many applied for civilian flying jobs, even with their advanced flight training and extensive experience, the airlines refused to hire female pilots. They found themselves grounded. Their dream of continuing as military pilots shattered.
We didn't want the glory. We didn't want any of the publication. We wanted our government to recognize the fact we did our bit in a time when the country was at war, in which they asked for our help, and we gave it, and gave it willingly, and that's all we wanted, nothing else.
Denied their rightful place in history, they struggled for recognition until 66 years later they were finally officially recognized for their service and received the Congressional Gold Medal.
All we ever asked for is that our overlooked history would someday no longer be a missing chapter in the history of World War II, in the history of the Air Force, in the history of aviation, and most especially the history of America.
Our next guest has had a long career in the entertainment business. From his time as a drummer in the band Crossfire, he is an Oscar-nominated and 4-time Emmy winner, producing documentaries for PBS and Disney. For today's Industry Insight, we sit down with Bill Suchy. In the studio today, we are here with Bill Suchy, former general manager of Orange TV. Bill, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's great having you here. So let's get into it. How did you get started in the filmmaking industry?
Well, originally I was a musician during the 60s and 70s, and the agency I was signed to, I was on Polydor Records and then Columbia Records, started doing music videos. And they needed some people to come in, and I started seeing how that was done. And it was just a fun thing to get into. And so I thought, it's kind of a natural thing. You're telling stories through songs. Now you can see what you're saying and stuff in the music videos. And I was on tour in Florida and ended up in Gainesville and decided that I think I'm going to go to school and learn how to do film. And so I got a film degree and a broadcast degree from the University of Florida, and that kind of started me off doing my own films.
And how did you like getting started in Florida?
How did I get started in Florida? Well, the first thing I did is I got a job with the University of Florida to make environmental films, mostly because no one at the time knew how to shoot 16 millimeter. Everybody was shooting video, and these had to be contracted and had to be shooting 16 millimeter. And so I had my own flatbed and a whole bunch of cameras that they gave me. So I did films for the USDA. And from that, a wildlife producer, John Paling from Oxford Scientific, happened to come to town. He does geographic programs. And he saw some of my work and he asked me to work for him. And so I ended up writing, producing, and directing a film called Cats for a WNET Nature series out of New York, which was at the time the most watched PBS program in history. And from there I started doing more work with John Paling Company, and then I went off on my own and started my own company.
Wow.
So, like you mentioned, working with PBS. How was it working with Disney and PBS prior to starting your Orange TV?
PBS is it's not like you're working with PBS. Each station is individual. Mm-hmm. Each station is their own commodity, and to work with PBS, you pitch the station. The bigger the station, if you're a WGBH or you're NET, you can actually pitch and get money from them. What I normally end up doing for a lot of the documentaries, I would go to the station, tell them what I wanted to do, and get them to say, yes, we will back this, not financially, but we will say this will be a PBS show and we will air it, which allowed me then to go to investors. I have a nonprofit 501c3 beside my production company that I could go to investors, not investors, but sponsors, corporations, and say, this is, here's a letter from CBS that, it'll be a PBS show, and then get them to donate certain amounts of money. And sometimes you make the budget, and sometimes you pay for the rest of it out of your pocket.
Right.
As indie filmmakers, we know all about putting more money into it.
Yes, it's never ending. It's never like, oh, great, I got all the money at once. But my first program that I ever produced on my own was called The Winning Edge, and was about dog showmanship. And I got the best judges in the country to interview, and I did all these things. And to get the money for that, I actually did the one thing that I wish I had done a million times. I went to these people in South Florida that were very wealthy and belonged to this big country club, and they got these 10 people together in one room, And I gave them a presentation that I had made Cats, and it's one of the most popular programs. And now I'm making this on dog showmanship, and there's 1 million dogs registered every year. I gave them my whole pitch, and they looked at each other. They said, "Well, this is a good idea. How much do you need?" I said, "I need $160,000 to do this." They looked at each other and said, "Well, I'm in. Are you in? Are you in? And you in?" And everybody in the table said, "Yeah, we can all come up with $10,000."
Wow.
And out of 16 people, I got the budget that day. I was like, wow, this is easy.
I wish it was that easy for
Never happened again.
But it's happened, so that's
And the
good.
best thing is once the video came out and was marketed and making money, should be paying them back because they were investors. And they wrote me and said, "We don't want the money back. We just want to write it off." It was only $10,000 each. And the idea was a write-off.
Right.
And that made me realize that when you approach people, they're not really looking to make money sometimes in the business. They want to be associated with it, or they want it for an ulterior motive. And it was, well, thank you.
What attracts you to documentaries?
But, I've been involved in feature films, and I've written a lot of feature film scripts and stuff. And, it's a very contrived, you're coming up with characters, and it's all about, is it going to be commercial? And coming from a background in music in the 60s and that type of thing, I really wanted to make things that made a difference. And whether it's about animals or about, artists, I've done, things on artists, on animals, on places, on history. I always find something that needs to be told.
Right.
And it hasn't been told. It's either not in the history books or it's kind of glossed over or something. And that interests me. And the fact that you can do it with like a 3 or 5 person crew. It's not, the big business of feature films and stuff. It's all about what you can tell the story, how to tell that story that hasn't been told before.
Yeah, and sometimes
without scripting.
Right, and it's like it resonates with a lot of people. I know you recently just did a documentary that actually got an Emmy nominations, correct?
Yeah, the latest one that actually Jerry edited is called Silver Wings Flying Dreams, about the women Air Force service pilots. And that was, it's won a number of awards, but it was nominated for an Emmy. The one I did before that was Earl Cunningham, and that won the Emmy for Best Documentary. And that's what the Manila Museum was actually built for, his art. But when you find stories like that, one, you have to have a passion for it. You're
Right.
not, somebody's not coming to you saying, "Oh, make this film."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, this has to be told," and then you have to figure out how to tell it. And unlike a feature or a TV series that you write the script and know what's coming and know what lighting you want and stuff, it's not like that. You're out there by the seat of your pants saying, "Okay, we're gonna interview these people and see what we get." You have an idea in your head and you have kind of a script and how you want to tell the story, but you never know how that's going to change, in the middle of it.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. So, with all that being said, I mean, I'm inspired now, What advice would you give filmmakers starting out?
Right now, filmmakers starting out, it's a great time because, one, there's 1 million channels out there that need product. And 2, there's 1 million ways to learn. You can go onto the internet and whatever you really want to learn about lighting, about directing and stuff, there are YouTube videos or there's companies that will get you business plans and put things together. But the biggest thing is to have a passion for what you're doing. I mean, filmmakers all we are storytellers. So if you can't sit down and just tell a story, you're not going to be able to make a film.
Right.
It's not, the Steadicam and the lights and all that stuff that do it. It's how you use those things, because in your head, you know the feel that it has to be.
Right.
You know the emotion that you want. You know what lens you should put on to make someone look a little haggard rather than beautiful, or more beautiful, and how to light it. All that's technical stuff, and hopefully you get a great DP. But to tell the story itself, it's all about having a passion and understanding what you're trying to say. And for filmmakers, when I speak at film festivals, on panels and stuff, unfortunately, most of the younger first filmmakers, they want to make something big.
Right.
And, they make a shoot 'em up movie, and there's one car chasing one car.
Explosions.
And people compare that to Bullet, and to all these other, these things that have great, multi-million dollar budget. Don't do that.
Right.
Be character focused, look at films like The Others, where here, you don't know what's going on. There's only 5 or 6 characters. It's almost one location, but it's just amazing.
Yeah.
I look at old films, 12 Angry Men, and to look at things how to make a character arc,
Right.
how to bring in all that stuff, control what the feelings are, like Jerry is a master at horror, and so, there's all tricks to do that, but still has to have a story.
Right.
For that person to go down in the basement with the lights off, there still has to be a reason
Reason
for it
why
to
he's
go
going down there.
to go down that basement with the lights off.
It might not be the reason I'd go on that down there, but there's a reason.
There's a reason always. But it is true. I feel like, especially with the audience, they are a lot more forgiving to a film that has a great story and not so great technical versus a film that looks great but has no storyline.
And a lot of that is because of all the reality TV that's come out.
Yes.
When the writer's strike happened and Hollywood turned to reality TV because they didn't have scripts, all of a sudden people realized, wow, they don't need all this production.
Right.
They just need some kind of conflict. Mm-hmm. And if there's conflict and there's drama, it doesn't really matter if it's that great. Unfortunately, it brought out a lot of crap.
Yeah.
But the idea that right now, you can use flat cameras, you can use, to shoot. You don't have to have what we had. We shot in 35 millimeter, we shot in Super 16. We had, it was just, you're changing, stuff in changing bags and all. Now you can come out with your camera. You can come out with an iPhone and put different lenses on it, and no one's going to know the difference.
Yeah,
If
we
you know
do it
how
here
to
on the
light,
show.
Yep.
and like you said, it's the story.
Yes.
If they like the characters and it's there, it's not the equipment. It's
Right.
the story and your passion how to tell the story. So, I would tell people, go to storytelling conferences where people just sit down and they tell these stories and stuff, because one, there's great ideas you get from that, but also you see how a story, emotion can flow from one person just sitting there telling it to you. Then imagine, see that in your head. And that's the best way to do it. Your passion brings you to film.
Wow.
Amazing.
Very cool. Well, Bill, thank you so much for joining us
My
today.
pleasure to be here.
Yes, so where can we find some of your work?
Well, you can go to Vimeo and just put in Bill Suchy, and I have a lot of stuff up on Vimeo that they can watch. The Wasp movie and the Earl Cunningham are both on Amazon. So you have Amazon Prime, or you go to Amazon.com. So there's a lot of places that are showing the movies, but best place probably is Vimeo if you want to see some of the music videos and the other stuff I did. I have just a variety of stuff up there for free.
Fantastic. I'm definitely going to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys want to check out some of his work, please do so. This man has a great legacy in the film industry, and he has some great work out there, and you guys can learn a lot by watching some of the stuff that he does. Bill, thank you again for joining us in the
My
studio.
pleasure
It's
to be
been
here.
a
Thank you
pleasure.
for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good stuff, man.
Thank you so much.
If you would like to be a guest, have something to promote, or have your film featured on our show, visit our website at indiecinemashowcase.com. Watch past episodes and help support the show by buying some merch at our online stores.
Follow us on our socials, Facebook at ICSTV and on Instagram at ICSTV Show. You can also reach out to us by emailing us at icstv@yahoo.com.
Hi, I'm Bill Suchy, and you're watching Indie Cinema Showcase.
Welcome back, guys. It's time to go on location with ICS. In this episode, we visit the oldest studio in Florida, formerly known as Patterson Studio. Let's take a look at Dolphin Image Studios.
So we're a full film production studio. We basically focus more on narrative content, or that's what we want to try to stick with. We still have commercial work coming here, realtors, different companies that want to come and shoot. They rent the studio, bring their equipment. So we are space to rent. We do podcasts, Facebook's live streams. We pretty much anything that has to do with pointing a camera at someone and recording them, we can do it. Post-production, we tend to outsource that part. So right now we're focusing more on actually capturing the images and all the process of the pre-production, which a lot of times many filmmakers struggle.
Now, we got to see some cool areas when we were walking around. For example, the sound stage. One of the things that really stood out was the virtual wall. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So it is 4K, 1.5 pitch LED wall. So we can use it for background replacements, for virtual sets. If you think about it, is going back to basics, because the old black and white films, when they were doing anything that now will be done with green screen, it was done with rear projection. So this is a rear projection, but with an LED screen. Part of the advantages is that you don't have to key anything out. Everything is captured on camera. And it helps the filmmakers and the DPs kind of light the scene better because they actually have a world behind them that they can light to. So we have that in our stage. We have a 50-foot by 20 feet infinity wall. So it's pretty much a soundstage. You can be very creative there.
One of the things that really stands out and makes Dolphin Image Studios stand out from other studios is your 9 acres of land that you have here. Tell us a little bit about that.
So Winter Haven has grown a lot, and it actually has grown a lot since I've been here for the last 2 years. We're a mile away from Legoland, which used to be Cypress Gardens. And the previous owner bought as much as he could. So there's 8.5 acres of land here from fence to fence. We are behind some businesses, so we're kind of hidden. But we, as you saw, we have woods. We have areas that look like warehouses. We have a cabin in the woods. We have, within the wooded area, we have trails that we can do. We've done dolly shots on golf carts and running shots because we have the space to do that.
So tell us a bit. So on the website, you guys also have a film submission portion of the site itself. Tell us a little bit how filmmakers can get involved with Dolphin Studios and what's the process behind that.
So our goal when we started the company in 2018 was to help boost the filmmaking in Florida. But part of the issue is that a lot of times filmmakers don't necessarily know where to start. So we want to be the hub where we can pretty much take your production and make it a reality. Not just a camera crew or audio crew. We can take it from all the way from pre-production to finished product.
How can anybody looking for more information about Dolphin Studios go to?
Well, we're on all social medias. We are in Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of them as Dolphin Image Studios. In our website, dolphinimagestudios.com, you can find information about how to submit your projects for us, if you need to contact us for renting the space or any information that you want to reach out to us for. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And our phone number is 407-436-7596. 407 because we started in Orlando, so we kept the number.
That's usually how it is nowadays. A cool location, if I may say so.
Definitely. And with 9 acres of land, there is just so much you could do there.
Yeah, like, get lost. Listen, I was attacked by a ferocious beast.
It was a Shih Tzu.
They have teeth.
This big.
Still. If you guys want to check out the full video, be sure to check it out on our YouTube page. Now let's head over to the Enzion Theater and see which films Tim Anderson thinks you should see before you die.
Hey everybody, this is Tim Anderson, Programming Coordinator for Enzion Theater and the Florida Film Festival, former ICS host who is very happy to be back with you guys today to talk about films to see before you die. So a little bit about how I chose these movies. You guys watching this, I assume are independent filmmakers or people that just really like to watch Orange TV, which I give full support to. This one is one of my favorite movies. I have seen this movie probably 50 times. And we actually talked about this movie once before, John Thiessen and I, on a very early episode of the Indie Cinema Showcase, and that is Kevin Smith's 1994 debut feature film, Clerks. I almost feel like you cannot be an independent filmmaker and have not seen Clerks. And that's whether you think Kevin Smith is funny anymore or not, or whether you like black and white movies, or whether your tolerance for incredibly offensive dialogue is super duper low. And this movie is interesting in that it did get an NC-17 rating from the Motion Picture Association of America over its dialogue, which was then adjudicated down and taken back down to an R. But what I think is inspiring about this film and why you guys need to take a chance to see it is this is like a location kind of movie. This is where you have access to one thing and decide to build your entire movie around it. And that is an incredibly inspiring way to utilize set and create production value without actually spending a lot of money. So Smith shot this film for $27,000. He funded it primarily from selling his comic book collection, as well as putting it on credit cards. And then I think the statute of limitations is up because he did disclose later in a documentary that he also allowed a flash flood to destroy his car so that he could collect the insurance money on that car as well to help fund the film. Maybe not suggesting that you commit insurance fraud yourselves, but it's inspiring nonetheless. Kevin Smith actually worked at the Quick Stop location where he shot the film. In fact, he worked from 6 a.m. in the morning until 11 p.m. at night on his regular shifts, or doubles at the time, and then he shot the movie from midnight until 5 a.m. Inside the same location, utilizing a cast made up of his friends and his family. His mother is in the film, and Scott Mosier, the producer of the movie, is in the movie about 7 different times, playing different characters. The film's dialogue, along with Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction dialogue, really responsible for the way that you hear characters in films talk today. It's very naturalistic, it's very hyper-geek dialogue, and of course the film lives or dies, in my opinion, based on the script. If these characters weren't hilarious, if these situations weren't completely outrageous, then you would just be watching a $27,000 16mm black and white movie shot in a convenience store and the adjacent video store, which was owned by the same family that Smith worked for at the video, or at Quick Stop. So I hope you guys get a chance to check out Clerks. If you haven't seen Clerks, go immediately. If you have seen Clerks, revisit it again and really kind of appreciate the minimalist style that Smith employs inside the film. The camera does not really move. It doesn't do a whole lot. And then, of course, one of the great moments in the movie is when Dante arrives at work and the shutters are pulled down due to the gum being stuck in the lock, which just illustrates that Dante's having a bad day, but ultimately it's because there could be no exterior shots of the windows due to the fact that they were shooting the movie at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I hope you guys check it out. Definitely a film to see before you die. Guys, thanks so much for joining me. I had a great time. I hope you love these movies. My name is Tim Anderson. Christina, Nando, you guys are killing it. Back to you.
Well, that's all the time we have for this episode of ICS. We want to thank Bill Suchy for sitting down with us, Juan Pantoja from Dolphin Image Studios, and Tim Anderson for those great movie suggestions.
I think one of the coolest things that we get to do is go out and visit some of these locations.
Oh, absolutely. And the fact that we can share this with everyone is so awesome. There are just so many places that people might not know about, and we can showcase them here.
I couldn't agree more. Well, we hope you learned something new, saw something that you love, or got inspired to get off your couch and go make a movie of your own. Who knows? It might be good enough for us to screen on the next Indie Cinema Showcase.
Don't forget to follow us on our socials, Facebook at ICS TV, Instagram at ICS TV Show, and YouTube at Indie Cinema Showcase.
And if you want a chance to have your work, event, convention, or film festival featured on ICS, send us an email at icstv@yahoo.com.
Until then, the set is closed, and as they say in the movie business, that's a wrap.
See you next time.